And statements expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of WWDB, its staff, or management.
You are listening to In the Know with David O. Informative, substantive, intelligent talk radio on 860 AM WWDB. And now, your host, Philadelphia Councilman David O.
Good afternoon. This is In the Know with David O. I am so happy to spend this time with you, and I hope you are happy to spend it with me and my guests as well. I try to bring you some really amazing people, and many of them, if not most of them, are right here from our community. And so after you've listened to them speak and hear about what they're doing, you may run into them at the supermarket or sit next to them at the movie theater because they are accessible. And that's another thing. They're not people who are shy about sharing their experiences, their expertise, and many of them, as you know, bring programs, opportunities for funding, and learning things as well. And today's no different. I have some wonderful guests. Let me tell you just in brief that you'll be hearing from Stanford Thompson, just a fantastic human being, very talented musician and educator, very impactful. And he has come up with a program here in Philadelphia that really benefits young people, and it's called Play On Philly. Also, another very innovative person, Morgan Berman. She is the CEO and founder of Milkcrate. Sometimes I see it as like My Milkcrate. I don't know what the difference is, but it's Milkcrate, My Milkcrate. But it's all about sustainability. And quite frankly, I was just telling someone, listen, I'm from an older generation, so yeah, I kind of get it and I kind of don't. But I remember in my day, it was kind of like, buy this tuna fish. It doesn't kill dolphins. You pay a little more and you felt good about the tuna fish. But she's going to go through kind of like sustainability and how her technology is also a profitable business and why businesses are interested. And then we're going to answer your question. What does it take to be a screen actor? And so we have a wonderful Philadelphian, Nakia Dillard, and he is not only a successful actor, he is also an educator, and he uses, acting as a way of teaching a number of different things. And so we're going to hear from him as well. Let me first start by thanking the sponsor of this show, Weinerman Pain and Wellness. They do a fantastic job, and as I say every time I'm on the air, thank you for sponsoring this show. And you'll hear their advertisement, so stay tuned. Last week we had three amazing women. Lauren Talese, and I'm going to ask Stanford Thomas if he knows who she is, but she performed, she sang on the show. She's just just got a great voice. She has a CD out, Gorgeous Chaos, and she was the winner of PHL Live Jazz. She's a wonderful dynamic singer. And then we had Joan Myers-Brown, founder, artistic director of Philadanco, and Shana Kennedy, executive director of the Philadelphia School of Circus Arts. And so if you want to hear those interviews or any interviews, you can go to WWDB 860, and you can Google it, and you'll find podcasts and other things. So right now, let me just tell you about Stanford Thomas. He's trained as a professional trumpeter. And he went to the Curtis Institute of Music here in Philadelphia. Very difficult school to get into. And when you get in, everything's paid for. That's how difficult it is to get in there. And so it's wonderful to have that school right here in Philadelphia. And then the New England Conservancy, he was in the Abreu Fellows program. And he performs as a soloist and with orchestras, and he records. And listen, he doesn't just do classical music, he does jazz as well. But in 2010, he founded an El Sistema-inspired program called Play On Philly. And he serves as the executive director, and he has been able to bring music into the lives of children throughout our city who otherwise would not have access to music. And it's not just music, right? In other words, he's going to tell us what the breadth and scope of his program is. But right now, let's welcome Stanford Thompson.
Thanks so much, Councilman, for having me.
Well, thanks for joining me. Let's tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, because you're, what I would say is a young man. I think you just turned 30. Is that right?
Yes.
And so you're a busy young man.
Right.
And originally from Atlanta, Georgia?
Right.
Okay. When did you come to Philadelphia?
So I moved here in 2005 to attend Curtis. And growing up in Atlanta, I first of all, I have to give my hat off to the Falcons.
Oh yeah,
hey,
yeah,
it was painful.
Yeah, no, they did great.
Right, but grew up in a musical family. Both my parents are retired music educators, and myself and my 7 siblings, we all played musical instruments at some point. I also have a brother who attended the Curtis Institute of Music.
Oh, talent in the family.
A sister who went to the Manhattan School of Music, and another brother who went to Manus in New York City. So, and then the other 4 siblings, they became, happy, successful people in other fields.
Right. Interesting.
So, no, but I was always around music, and one thing that my parents taught me was really to seize opportunities. And my father growing up in the early 40s in Jackson, Mississippi, my mom on the south side of Chicago in the mid-50s, they obviously did not have the same types of opportunities that I've been able to enjoy. So
Right. Well, when you were growing up as a child, obviously with having music and music education, in your family, you were exposed to it. But what about in schools? Were there opportunities for you to learn about music in the schools that you attended?
So growing up, we had very basic music programs, but it was really the opportunities I had in private youth music organizations. So the Atlanta Youth Symphony Orchestra, for example, where I was really able to be challenged and given additional opportunities to improve. And of course, when I moved to Philadelphia, I found a very similar type of framework where you have a lot of music teachers teaching throughout the school system, but with inadequate resources to be more successful.
Yes.
So oftentimes they do not have access to working instruments. And when things need repair, they sit in a closet. Or perhaps maybe not enough financial resources to even take a group of kids to perform somewhere across the city.
Yeah, it's one of the great frustrations, and that is that all the talk about the importance of education, but, talk is talk until there's action. And here in Philadelphia, our schools are very unequal. It's a one-school system, but neighborhood to neighborhood, you will find a great disparity in resources and programs and opportunities. And so, as a musician and someone of your background, you looked at that, and then in 2010, you did something about it. How did that happen?
So, it was, I think, again, going through my experience at Curtis, I had an idea that in the city, we have great musicians and music educators.
Yes.
We have kids that are hungry to be engaged in a high-quality experience. We have school principals that need and parents that need activities for their kids.
Right.
And the thing that was missing was just really connecting all of these kind of resources into one comprehensive program.
Right.
So, yes, in 2010, decided, let me see what I can do.
Now what happened? Did you get a flat tire and it was raining? You said, God, if you give me air in my tire, what happened? Because you were aware of this. You were in Philadelphia, but 2010, you said, I'm going to do something about this.
Yep. So it was in my last semester at Curtis.
Okay.
I learned about the El Sistema program of Venezuela.
And tell us I've heard about it. Tell us about it. And how did it touch you when you heard about this program?
So it was the first time that my feelings were qualified in the sense that music made me a better person before it made me a great musician.
Okay.
And I've always been told, Stanford, you're talented, you could go anywhere, but no one really told me you had this opportunity to develop the type of character and skills that I would need for later on.
For those of our listeners who have not been through the type of experience you have been, the ups, the downs, the challenges, all that comes with being the type of musician you are, how does music develop your character, and how can you impart that through music lessons? What are you trying to impart?
So everything's based around character, confidence, self-esteem.
Okay.
And then what we also call a high level of executive functioning skills. It's the concept that you want to achieve a big goal in the future, but it requires a lot of small steps to accomplish the goals. It's easy to get off the path, especially when there's some disappointment. So I believe what music can do is really take a young person through that entire process, and in a way that you still go to your grave trying to become a better musician.
Yes.
So in developing skills, we think about things of what it takes to memorize all your scales and fundamentals, and that helps build memory. It helps build cognitive ability. Even when you tell a kid, wait, observe the rest, wait for 2 or 3 seconds, and then continue to play, you exercise a part of their brain that controls inhibition.
Right.
And then when you put a kid in the context of playing in a jazz big band or in an orchestra, that kid has to know what they're doing fundamentally to produce sound. They have to read music. They have to listen to everybody around them. Are they in tune? Are they in time?
Right.
And then you have to watch the conductor who's trying to tell you to slow down or speed up. So all of these things happen. It helps build attention. So if you can practice those skills every single day, which we provide at Play on Philly, for 3 hours every single day, Monday through Friday throughout the school year and 6 weeks in the summer, then what ends up happening is that you have helped to develop a kid who can go back into the classroom, focus for a longer period of time. If they bump into their friend in the hallway, they don't push them. They just say, I'm sorry, and keep walking.
Right.
Or somebody that can switch from class to class and really stay focused on success. So as a side effect of all that work, of building character, building all these skills, the side effect, we see kids that are a letter grade ahead in every academic subject, that come to school 30% more, and they're hardly ever in trouble. And also they sound pretty good.
Yeah, it's interesting because you're not just saying that. You actually can prove that because you did a control group and students that were involved in Play on Philly, and it says that the students who were involved in the same school in Play on Philly scored an average of 10 points higher on standardized tests, received higher grades in English and language arts, and larger, more positive changes in math from the first to the third trimester, scored higher on tests for executive functions, and had 30% fewer absences from school, and that the evaluation is ongoing. So you're not just saying that, you're able to look at the data and say this is what the results are.
Yes, and the data is important, and really understanding how we're making impact is something that I think keeps all of the teachers and staff honest, and it's also responsible for those that are supporting us financially.
Yes, let's talk about finance because, gas in the tank, car does not go without gas. And one of the things that I got to tell the listeners is there's a lot of gas in this tank. I mean, there's a lot of roads to be traveled, but it is also kind of like an insight into who you are that you raised $9 million for this.
Yes, thank you.
Wow, $9 million.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, how did you do that? How were you able to connect with people that they believed in your program?
I think focusing on what students need most is important. I believe that there are a lot of great teachers in our school district. I think the issue is that kids can't come into their class ready to learn.
Right.
They deal with a tremendous amount of stress. And I think by having that faith in the teachers, we start to say, okay, how can we help to prepare these kids to be successful? It's not about playing music. It's not about the arts in general, because if it's dancing, doing ballet, playing music, acting, doing visual arts, that the art itself just doesn't make you smarter and happier. all music. It's multiples of 2s and 3s. If you can count to 3, you can be a great musician. It doesn't help you acquire a new language. There's only a handful of symbols. I will not learn how to read and speak Mandarin in 3 years because I play music. But it's the process. Mm-hmm. And if you can really look at the process that it takes to become a competent artist that is creative, that really knows how to express themselves, then that's the magic. So I think over time we've been encouraging people. I can get most people to agree that kids need a basic skill set.
Yes.
And we just happen to accomplish that with music.
Right.
So if I can keep people focused on the type of kids we need to create in the city and in classrooms and throughout the community, then that has been the biggest contributing factor to people getting behind us financially, because we're ready to teach. We're ready to put instruments in the kids' hands. If I had $9 million, I would give it to myself. But I don't.
Right.
I know music, and that's what I can teach and bring to the table. Mm-hmm. And I do, I value all of my teachers and all of our staff, and, their time should be rewarded well.
Yes. How is the money divided up? How do you spend the money on an annual basis? What are the key things that you use the money for?
Right. So about 70% of the money goes directly to teacher salaries and staff that are implementing the program.
Right.
Then the last 30% more or less goes into evaluating the success of the program. Right. It goes for some basic office supplies and space. And then, of course, some training that we do with our entire team.
Right.
And instrument purchases, trips for the students and school buses to get to different venues.
Right.
We perform 30 concerts a year. So on average, each student performs about 8 performances. So getting them ready, keeping instruments in working order, making sure they're there to perform, it's a big operation. And it requires a lot. It's 600 hours each year that each student receives.
Okay, and you are bringing this to neighborhoods and communities that otherwise would not have access to this type of high-level music instruction.
Right, yes, and that is central to who we are as an organization. We want to make sure that we are available, so our program is provided tuition-free. We loan instruments to every student.
Oh, that's great.
And we make sure that we set up shop in their community. So in their schools, we perform in various community venues and churches. So we want to make sure that we're accessible and that we remove as many barriers as possible.
What's the age range? Are there limitations? Is there like kind of a primary group of folks based on age that you deal with?
So from kindergarten through 12th grade, so roughly age 5 to about 18, 19 years old.
Okay. That's pretty good. And in fact, you have a concert coming up at West Catholic Prep High School on March the 4th.
March 4th, yes. That's our academy program, which is our high school program.
Okay.
So there's an opportunity. That concert begins at 2 o'clock.
Okay.
It's free, open to the public.
Oh, my goodness. We can't beat that ticket, yeah.
We're a free parking lot.
We're half
away from the L stop. So, we want to encourage people to come out and really celebrate these students for what they're accomplishing.
Come on out, everybody, especially if you live around there. You got to – is that a Saturday?
It's a Saturday, I hear it's going to probably be 75 degrees. So.
75 degrees. Listen, write that down. Come on out. Not only will you have a great time, but the students, they're going to be so thrilled to have you sitting there watching them taking pictures because they're working hard, and so are the teachers. And by showing up, just that portion, not only will you make their day, but you'll also have a great time while you're making their day. Now, if people want to learn more about your program, where could they go to find out about it?
Yep, so visit us at playonphilly.org. There you can learn more about the organization, the artists that we work with, our teachers, and, of course, receive a list of our upcoming concerts.
Playonphilly.org.
Yes.
Okay, great. It's kind of funny, but coincidentally, I was having this talk with my daughter, who's 9, just yesterday. And, my wife told me, her name's Hannah, so I'm outing her. Like, Hannah, she didn't practice. She was learning the piano, someone teaches her. And so my wife, she always struggles to get her down to the piano. So she played about like 10 minutes. She said, I'm done. And my wife was upset. So I said, listen, you're not done watching Netflix like in 10 minutes, hours and hours. You can sit there watching, movies and TV and whatever you do. But I said, listen, you can watch something in 15 minutes and feel good about it. Playing the piano, you could feel good about it while you do. But a year later, 5 years later, 10 years later, it's going to be with you, and it's something that you're investing in, and it's a great value. You're very fortunate to be able to learn the piano.
Right, and I'll add to that. My father made it really clear that he would feed me on the days I practiced.
Oh,
so you might want to try that.
That's how it's done. Okay, no practice, no food.
Right. So after 2 days of protesting, then I was back at it. I learned all my scales that week. But one important thing that you said, if you don't mind, it's the skills that I learned as a musician. That's what is carrying me through running this organization.
Right.
And through all the setbacks and disappointments, you get back up. You're in the practice room the next day.
Yes.
So not everyone says yes to providing a partnership or funding or opportunities for the students. But we work really hard to keep that going. So, I'm glad that I have this experience, that it has transferred to the work I do. And yes, we encourage all of our students. I mean, this is an important process that they can take with them regardless of where they end up passionate and where they want to spend their life. So
I'm going to ask you a big question as we start wrapping up here. You said, I believe orchestras offer us lessons in leadership, innovation, diversity, and inclusion. Could you tell us exactly what you meant by that?
Sure. So within an orchestra, I mean, you'll have 11 or 12 different instruments made out of different materials. They all have a different sound. The goal of an orchestra is for everybody to blend together, to let all the voices be heard. The harmonies are just as important as the bass lines and the melodies, and we have to support one another. Bad orchestras, they don't play in tune. They don't listen to one another. They're not flexible enough. And quite frankly, if we can, in a way, figuratively thinking, if we could get our communities to function in the same way as any good orchestra plays, then yes, it can be a great place that supports diversity and innovation, and of course forward progress for everybody. So that's what we're working hard on, and very great to be able to teach the kids those lessons through music.
Okay, well listen everybody, this is Stanford Thompson, musician, educator, recording artist, so many things, and you're on the kind of like the faculty of TED Talks. And you certainly do a lot of educating, speaking. And so for folks who want to follow along, learn more, playonphilly.org, and can they also contribute?
Yes, they can do that online. They can do it by mail. We will stop by your house and pick up the check. Just let us know.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us, and stay tuned, everyone, because when we come back after commercial break, we will be talking with a dynamic, innovative young lady, Morgan Berman, CEO of Milkcrate, or My Milkcrate.
You are listening to In the Know with David O. Informative, substantive, intelligent talk radio on 860 AM WWDB.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by the Philly Labor RX Injured Workers Pharmacy Network, featuring PPC Pharmacy, First Choice Pharmacy, and Precision Scripts, providing injured workers with premium products and services from the point of injury through the entire healing process. The Philly Labor RX Pharmacy Network cares about injured workers.
My friends, this is Joe Kraus. You've heard me on Philadelphia radio now for over 20 years, and you know I don't often endorse products or people unless they are real game changers. I want to tell you about Weinerman Pain and Wellness, located in Center City, Philadelphia. And at the end of this short personal endorsement, I want you to consider Weinerman Pain and Wellness. If you are recovering from an injury, if you or a family member has been diagnosed with a disorder that has stopped you in your tracks, or if you're like me, determined to learn about wellness while getting yourself prepared to stay healthy so you can enjoy the blessings of your family. Remember the name of this warm and caring location, Weinerman Pain and Wellness. Why should you consider Weinerman Pain and Wellness? Because they are who you expect them to be. Weinerman Pain and Wellness, on the web at WeinermanPainandWellness.com.
Weinerman Pain and Wellness, located at 100 South Broad Street, just south of City Hall. Call Weinerman Pain and Wellness at 215-988-9503. That's 215-988-9503. Call today.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all, the few, the proud, the Marines.
All right, and we are back. Good afternoon. This is Councilman David Oh here at WWDB 860 AM, and you are in the know with David Oh. Listen, we just had a lot of information from just a wonderful gentleman, Stanford Thompson, young man, doing so much. Before the show, I asked him about his social life, and he said all is good because he's got staff now. I said, you know, when you're that busy and that young, you get wrapped up in stuff, and I'm glad to hear you're out and about, you know, taking care of yourself from an emotional sense as well. You're giving so much to young people. And we have another young, dynamic person, and I say that because I'm an older guy, and generations go by. And I think when you're young, you're not aware of generations. I certainly wasn't when I was young. But now that I'm older, I can kind of categorize like pre-cell phone, post-cell phone, Atari, you know, that type of thing. People are like, what's Atari? Yeah. I still talk about Dr. J. They're like, who's that? No, Dr. J. Anyway, so, you know, as times go by, we are introduced to new concept, new ideas, kind of a revision of things in the past. And so, you know, there is a changing kind of in our global perspectives, and representing that is Morgan Berman. She's from the Philadelphia area. She's a very talented. I'm going to tell you about her in a second, but she's on because she is the co-founder and CEO of Milkcrate, a company that helps companies engage their employees in social and environmental impact. And my question is, how does that work as a business? And listen, she gave me an education before we brought her on because I would not know what to say. But let me tell you that among her awards, United Nations Foundation, she was one of the top 10 female entrepreneurs to watch. Forbes under 30, I think it was 30 under 30, and Young Involved Philadelphia's Startup of the Year. World Economic Forum Global Shaper. Citizen Speaks Disruptor. And that doesn't mean she was bad. That means it was good. She was disrupting things in a good way. All you people like me are like disruption. Okay. And Billy Penn's Who's Next? 2015 Startup Leaders, Tribe 12, a fellow. Philly Girls Do Good, she's a member of that. And Rad Girl, she's Product of the Year. So many things that she's done. I'm not going to just keep going because you're going to get lost, but, you know, she's been featured with WHYY, the Philadelphia Business Journal, Boston Metro, Philadelphia Inquirer, and so many others. So let me take a time, you know, to introduce you to Morgan Berman. Hey, Morgan, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
And are you going to shout out to Mom?
Yeah, she just texted me that she's listening.
Yeah. Hello, Mom. Thanks for listening. Well, we could ask your mother a bunch of questions, but, we're going to ask you. So, kind of tell us, who you are, because, we had a wonderful young man and all that shaped him, and here you are. You're also a young, dynamic woman. Kind of tell us about your upbringing a little bit and how you got interested in this whole thing.
Sure. Well, I was born in Philadelphia, and my parents raised me for a number of years in the city. My mom had been a farm-to-table chef. And so I grew up eating and thinking about food in a very, special way, because we got to think about going to farmers markets and where our food was coming from and eating from the garden that we were growing in the backyard.
Right.
And I never really knew that was political or even like a social movement until I was living in West Philadelphia as an adult, and I was seeing other people growing gardens and organizing in this kind of more intentional way, not just about their own kind of culinary experience, but as a kind of source for food justice and making food accessible in healthy local ways for people. And that was kind of the beginning of this awakening for me, where I started to kind of understand and embrace the word sustainability. I was trying to figure out how to be a kind of sustainable urban dweller in Philadelphia in my mid-20s. And that started meaning things like learning how to bike in the city or composting with worms in my kitchen. All of these, new lifestyle changes that I was trying to make. And I was spending a lot of time researching how to do these things, what they meant.
Let me interrupt you for a second, because you were pursuing another career, weren't you, at the time?
Yeah, I was.
Because if I were invited to your kitchen,
right,
I'd see worms and stuff. But at the time, you weren't dedicated to that.
No, this
what
was
were
a
you
hobby.
doing? Yes.
Yeah, the sustainability thing was kind of a passion project and interest. But my undergraduate career, I went to the College of William and Mary out of state in Virginia.
Yes.
And my undergraduate career was women's studies and anthropology. And so for the first couple of years after college, I was working in women's reproductive health. The difference I wanted to make in the world was to help women and their families kind of control their destiny through affordable reproductive health care.
Right.
And so for the first number of years, I worked at organizations like Planned Parenthood, and then I started transitioning into a more research role where I got a job at the University of Pennsylvania in the surgery department. The woman I worked for, Seema Sonad, had a strong focus on women in medicine and mentorship, which now years later is really interesting, because now I'm in a role where I'm in a field where mentorship is incredibly important for a startup founder, where you often are doing something for the first time and you need people to help guide you. So it's kind of interesting how I've come back to that. But I was working at Penn doing research in West Philadelphia and living in West Philadelphia, and that's when the kind of sustainability bug bit me out in the community garden.
And so once you graduated from, your master's, what job did you take?
Well, I applied to graduate school. Seema, my boss at Penn, kept pushing me. She said, you need to go back to grad school. You need to figure out what you're going to do. This grant is going to end. And so I applied to Philadelphia University. They had a Master's of Science in Sustainable Design program. And my second year of graduate school, I got a job at an architecture firm, Metcalf Architecture and Design. And so I was working in that field in business development, but really was starting to develop Milkcrate as my thesis project and realized that this was something that I was really passionate about. And so when I graduated, I actually wound up focusing on Milkcrate full time. And it turns out that the job that I got when I graduated was the one I created for myself.
Okay, interesting. Now, for folks my age, tell us why Milkcrate. Why do you choose? In my day, Milkcrate would have been what you put up if you wanted to play basketball, or you might sit on it and you may put your albums in it. But why Milkcrate?
So the name comes from the practice of kind of scrappy urban people taking old milk crates and repurposing them into a container on the back of a bicycle. And that receptacle becomes a container for your sustainable urban lifestyle.
Okay, and what might go in that milk crate?
So what might go in that milk crate? The produce that you purchase at the farmer's market, the clothes that you buy at a local boutique, maybe a lamp from a thrift store, anything that you find that's a part of the local sustainable economy.
That's great. Could I shout out that on Saturday I was at Temple for the Philadelphia Beekeepers Sustainable.
Some local honey.
Yes, local honey. My wife
Nice.
loves it. And so that goes into Milkcrate, and then you came up with what in order to make this work?
Right. So the first version of the product that we built is an app, free app called My Milkcrate, and the idea was we were going to simplify sustainability for everyone. So we created a Yelp-like experience, but with only sustainable businesses, and then later added events and services.
And for those who may not know, Yelp is something that you might find that if you're looking at a restaurant, it'll have like different customers who'll say it was good or not good, or try the steak or don't try the steak. And so there's it's interactive. People put their, they can put their information on and other things, and it's free, so people can just get this app.
Exactly. So the first version of our company's kind of business model was a free consumer app. And we did that for about 2 years. As you said, we got a lot of awards and recognition because people were really excited about the mission, the brand, and the content, but we hadn't really figured out a way to provide true value to a customer and how to provide a really engaging experience for our users.
Yeah, for folks my age, we'd say, how you making money?
Yeah,
right? Okay.
Exactly. We got that question a lot, particularly from our investors.
Yes.
So about 2 years in, I radically changed the product and the business model based on a lot of market research we'd done, some competitive analysis, feedback from our users, some really great advising from my mentors. And what we did was we pivoted the company, meaning we changed it.
Yes.
And now we've taken that original core product and we've turned it into almost like a game.
Okay.
And so now every week our users get challenged to do new things. So instead of them having to open up the app and figure out what to do, we come to them. So you get an alert on your phone that says, this week, check out the farmer's market in your neighborhood and a link to do that.
Okay.
Or click here to sign up for Bike Share and then a way to sign up for Indigo in Philly. And so every week there are these new challenges that help you kind of go through that discovery process that I was going through when I was living in West Philadelphia. So the way that we make money is that we partner with corporations and universities that have a dedication to connecting their values with the people that are in their community.
Let's stop for a second because you have some pretty big clients.
Yes.
And tell us some of them, not all of them, just some of them.
Well, I'm happy to say that this fad of sustainability doesn't seem to be particularly niche anymore. The 75% of the S&P 500 actually issue a report on their corporate social responsibility or sustainability activities every year. So that includes, all of the major companies that are putting resources into being a business that's a force for good in the world. And so one of the companies that we've recently brought on as one of our clients is Comcast, actually.
Right. They've got last I heard 80,000 employees,
They've got a lot of employees.
Yes.
So we're pretty happy to be working with them. We're going to be launching a pilot in May, and then we're going to be growing out from there. So
Comcast is a customer, which means you provide to Comcast, and Comcast provides to its employees your app that helps them live a sustainable life, right?
Exactly. And the content isn't just about your personal life. It's also content for at work. The employers are able to set goals around the kind of behaviors they'd like to encourage amongst their employees, both at work and at home. So an example, we're pursuing a potential relationship with a commuting benefit where employers can sign their employees up to take public transportation and save money doing that. So an example would be Comcast employees will get an alert saying, click here to take advantage of this public transportation benefit that we offer, and then you will be able to see how many employees sign up for that. And then we're going to be adding a carbon footprint tracker that will actually show mode of transit for the employees using the app. And you'll actually be able to see the carbon footprint reduction amongst your workforce because you challenged them to sign up for that service.
So now that's great for the environment. It's wonderful for local sustainable businesses, better health and all that. But why is the company paying for that?
Right. Well, there are a number of different types of challenges, some that actually have cost savings, some that can earn revenue, and some because it just fits within their mission. So Comcast is dedicated to lowering their Scope 3 emissions, and this is a way that we're going to help make that happen. They're already investing resources in this, and we're a more effective and cost-efficient way of doing that. So that's kind of a cost savings.
Right.
But another example would be we're having a conversation with the Philadelphia Zoo, and they're incredibly dedicated to saving water and energy, and they've done some really innovative things around that. So something that we're going to be able to do if we were to engage with them, an example would be every Wednesday, say we send a reminder to every employee to make sure that when they are filling up, say, the tiger's water tank, that they make sure that they don't, maybe they were leaving the faucet running too long or something. Okay. So a reminder to not do that, and then to overlay that with the water usage of the whole organization, and to be able to see that when we send out that push on Wednesdays, water usage goes down. Okay. So you're able to see that behavior change happening and the actual resource and cost savings that can happen by reminding your employees to take certain kinds of action, whether it's turning off the lights, using less water, reminding them how the recycling program works, signing up for a rideshare program, whatever.
And from our discussions, what I've learned is that in today's world, these type of things are important to a lot of people, and customers are making decisions in a very discriminating way. And just like back in my day, we would buy the tuna that didn't kill the dolphins. This is now expanded exponentially. Yes. And there are, as you said, reports and all that stuff. So not just for the customers and for the shareholders, but also in the competition for employees. So many employees are on top of this, and they want to be part of doing good as they sit at their cubicle or sit at home on their laptop or whatever they're doing, and being part of an organization that cares about these things. And so your app is a way for the corporation to actually save money, promote what they're doing, track it, and build a team around these important values.
Absolutely. It's about engaging your employees in your values. And what we've found, I mean, there's so many reports now that show the number one thing a millennial is looking for when they are job hunting is the chance to make a difference in the world.
Fantastic.
And so our app is an opportunity for companies that want to be a force for good in the world to engage their workforce in doing that and to attract those kinds of employees that share their values.
Okay. Now, what are the challenges that you were facing as a CEO of this company?
Before or after the pivot?
No, after the pivot now.
After the pivot now?
Yes.
That's a good question. I mean, there's some challenges that come with realizing your dream and getting what you want, like, securing the Comcast relationship, having a successful pilot at Philadelphia University where the students did engage the way we had hoped. Right. Now it's about, okay, everything that we worked towards for the last year and hoped for basically has now happened, which means we have to keep going.
Yes.
It's exciting because we get to keep doing it, but it's also like, okay, well, we just worked that hard, and now we get to and have to do that all over again and set the next set of goals.
Right.
So the good news is I'm taking a 12-day vacation before I do that.
Okay, very good.
But we kind of have to kind of reset the clock, and it's like once you accomplish the goal, you kind of wipe the board clean, and then you get to start all over again.
Yes, my goodness. Now, one of the secrets I know about you is that you practice jujitsu, the deadly art of, the gentle art of self-defense, and you don't hurt anybody. But it is a deadly art. How did you get into?
Bruises.
Oh my God! How did you get into that?
Well, Mom, since I know you're listening, she knew that I was struggling with a lot of the kind of weight of what we had undertaken this year to change the company. And I had done some kickboxing at a gym a few years ago that had really helped with the stress of everything. But I had moved to a new neighborhood. I didn't have that gym anymore. Yes. And she kept saying to me, you need to go find a martial art. You need to go find something to punch.
Oh, I like that, Mom.
So I literally Googled martial arts near me in my new apartment that I just moved into in August. And there was a studio half a block from me. And I figured, well, even in the dead of winter, I won't be so lazy that I won't go. So that seems like a good fit. And so I went to the old Maxercise location, and John, our coach, he did this little short lesson with me. And when I realized how incredibly easy it was for him to murder me, I figured I should probably learn how to defend myself a little bit. But then as I kind of started training, it became this amazing outlet for a safe place to fail. And I've been talking, I give a lot of talks to like MBA classes,
yes.
and this has been something I've talked a lot about, is that, you know, when you're in the startup world, everyone talks about fail fast and how important failure is. And like, you kind of want to believe them, but you also are like, no, but I really want to succeed.
Yes.
So jiu-jitsu training, especially, you know, as a starter, as a white belt, it's been a safe place to feel like an idiot, to not know what I'm doing, to be surrounded by people who were in my shoes 1, 5, 10 years ago.
Yes.
And to get pulverized in a way that feels really healthy. And I'm really enjoying that kind of and the fast learning curve too. I mean, I'm still clueless, but it's amazing how much less clueless I am just 6 months in.
Yes.
The kind of quick learning curve has been really satisfying, because in, you know, the corporate world and even in startups with engineering, the time it takes to realize a dream, to get a goal accomplished, can be 6, 12, 18, 20 months. But with jiu-jitsu, you learn a move, and then later that night when you're training, you can try and use it on someone.
Yes.
And that's really satisfying, to be able to like rapidly learn.
Okay, well, fantastic. Yeah. Now, for folks who want to learn more about Milkcrate, where do they go?
So you go to mymilkcrate.com. And if you're in the HR world or corporate social responsibility, you can click on the request a demo button, and we can set up a time to show you how the product works and see if it's a good fit for your company.
Okay, well, fantastic. Well, listen, everyone stay tuned, because after this commercial break, we've got an actor who is famous, and he's a teacher, Nakia Dillard. So stay tuned.
You are listening to In the Know with David O. Informative, substantive, intelligent talk radio on 860 AM WWDB.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by the Philly Labor RX Injured Workers Pharmacy Network, featuring PPC Pharmacy, First Choice Pharmacy, and Precision Scripts, providing injured workers with premium products and services from the point of injury through the entire healing process. The Philly Labor RX Pharmacy Network cares about injured workers.
My friends, this is Joe Kraus. You've heard me on Philadelphia radio now for over 20 years, and you know I don't often endorse products or people unless they are real game changers. I want to tell you about Weinerman Pain and Wellness, located in Center City, Philadelphia. And at the end of this short personal endorsement, I want you to consider Weinerman Pain and Wellness. If you are recovering from an injury, if you or a family member has been diagnosed with a disorder that has stopped you in your tracks, or if you're like me, determined to learn about wellness while getting yourself prepared to stay healthy so you can enjoy the blessings of your family. Remember the name of this warm and caring location, Weinerman Pain and Wellness. Why should you consider Weinerman Pain and Wellness? Because they are who you expect them to be. Weinerman Pain and Wellness, on the web at weinermanpainandwellness.com.
Weinerman Pain and Wellness, located at 100 South Broad Street, just south of City Hall. Call Weinerman Pain and Wellness at 215-988-9503. That's 215-988-9503.
Introducing the YMCA. What, you already know the why? Or so you think. Sure, you know the why for a swim, a workout, even a game of hoops. But did you know we're more than that? We're a cause. When you take your jump shot at the Y, someone else is getting job training. Take a cardio class, while kids are in an after-school enrichment program. Practice your downward-facing dog as a teen practices her leadership skills. That's the why. We work with people no matter their age, income, or background, and give them the opportunity to learn, grow, and thrive, all with one simple goal in mind, to strengthen our community. And we've got so much more that does just that. So while you might think of the Y as that place for lifting weights, we're also about lifting entire communities. Introducing the Y. We're so much more than a place. We're a cause. Visit ymca.net/more.
All right, we are back. Listen, I'm here with Nakia Dillard. He has been a character. I don't mean like a character. I mean he's an actor. He's been in character on a consistent basis on some fantastic shows like The Wire. I really enjoyed watching that show, and I got a kind of a busy schedule, but he's a Philadelphia actor, writer, director, and entrepreneur. And not only does he act and make money that way for a living, but he also teaches acting. And a number of the things where you may have seen him, because, as an actor, you don't always know you're watching him, although I think he's got a distinctive look. But he's been in not only The Wire, but Lovely Bones, Law Abiding Citizen, Real Men Wear Pink, and Brooklyn Bloody Mess. He was in Creed, and he's working on some projects right now as well that he's going to tell us about. So, Nakia, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, listen, we answer a question every week, and, of course, this is no surprise question. What does it take to be a screen actor?
Well, it takes I tell everyone to take classes.
Yes.
And there's a really good spot to go to far as casting is Heary Casting.
Yeah, she was on the show.
Diane Heary, Jason Loftus.
Yes.
That's if you want to get on TV.
Yes.
That's the place to go.
Okay.
Far as getting cast in different projects, because Diane cast everything in the city. So right now there's a film with Kevin Hart called the what is it called? It slipped my mind. But if you go on Diane
senior
Heary,
moment, I get those
exactly.
every now and then. I don't know if seniors like that term, but I qualify. So yeah. But anyway,
Right.
he's got a film going on here in Philly, right?
Right. So right now they're looking for extras, and they're casting for different roles. But the best thing to do, again, like I said, is to take classes. So once you get that opportunity, you're ready.
Now you took classes at Freedom Theater, is that right?
Yes.
And what's it like to go to acting classes? I don't know.
Well, it's for me, it was a whole new world, because I was a really shy kid. So when I told my mother, I wanted to be an actor, she was like, if he asked me a few times, then I'll take him.
Right.
Because I was like the kid in the back of the class, just really afraid to speak.
Yes.
And so once I started acting classes, because it was for theater,
right,
and everything is big. You have to project your voice, and at that particular time, my voice was really quiet, really low. So that was a whole new experience for me.
Yeah. When you say big, you mean big gestures,
big movements,
because people in the back
loud, you got to talk to the person all the way in the back of the theater.
So in a way, kind of exaggerated, would you say?
Right,
Everything is.
It's
and they
than
taught
life.
you to do that.
Right.
They taught you to do that and not do too much of it, and at the same time make it look sincere and like you weren't trying. Right.
Yeah, you can't look like.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So that must not be easy.
Face.
Yeah. I mean, fun for sure, but
Right.
it must. There must be an aptitude and a dedication and.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely dedication that you need, because it's not easy. I mean, I'm not gonna act like this. It's not easy, for one, booking a role.
Right.
You're against so many people. And then once you book the role, you have to do the job. So some people are good at booking. And then, after that, because they don't understand what it is to sustain themselves.
Right.
And that's where classes and things like that come in.
Let me ask you this. Now, as opposed to being in theater, when you're in a movie or on television, you can't be exaggerated, right? So how do you make that transition? What do you learn in class, and how do you make that transition?
Well, there's different styles of acting, but the base is always theater. But with film, because everything is so close, the camera it sees everything. So you don't need to move as much. So it's about being still and about being more intimate as far as just like even right now, like we're not that far away from each other.
Right.
So I don't need to yell at you.
Yes. Right.
So if I was in theater, I have to talk to the person in the back of the theater, so I have to yell.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But right now, if this was film, actually we're on Facebook Live right now, so we're actually being filmed right now. So I don't have to yell even over there. They can all hear us. So
more subtle things,
right.
a lift of the
subtle.
eyebrow, and so
it's all about the eyes.
Yeah, and how?
acting.
What are things that the class would draw out? Like, was there anything you learned that really surprised you or turned the light bulb on? You're like, oh, that's right.
Well, for me, with class, just being able to it helped with my self-esteem.
Okay.
And that's something that you need as an actor. You have to be able to know that you're enough, and that you can, because you're going to hear the word no a lot. Like sometimes it's not even about you or your talent.
Right.
It could just be that you may not fit the role that they see.
Right.
So if I come in and say my wife is extremely tall, or it has to match.
Yes. Okay.
So, or my kids, they may have the kids already cast. I may not look like the kid.
Right.
Or whatever. So that it doesn't affect my talent. It's just that I just didn't fit that particular box of what they were looking for.
How important is persistence and basically fortitude in this profession of yours?
It's very, very important. You really have to keep going. You can't stop. It's so many things. There's so many different jobs. Like just being in front of the camera is one job. But say if you're a writer, say if you're a director, say if you cut hair or whatever it is, and you can make a living just doing those things.
Right.
But you have to stay persistent.
Okay. And now, in this short time, could you tell us, for folks that want to learn more about you or your school or anything like that, where do they go?
You can go online. You can go. My school is ICANN-ACTS, and it's my name backwards, which is AIKANACTS,
Yes.
and it's a play on words. I did the Oprah thing.
Yes. Yeah. Cool.
So it's saying I Can Act, basically.
Yes.
So icanacts.org, and you can call 215-324-0632.
Okay, wonderful. And now you're going to be in I'm going to tell the folks you're going to be, I think, playing Martin Luther King Jr. in something coming up.
Right. I'm in a film called The American Zealot, and that should start filming in March. But also wanted to let you know I'm in the film that's out right now called Split.
Okay.
I play a cop in that, and I have a film that's dropping today called Underground Kings. And I have a project that's going to start running next month on Comcast called Swing the Movie.
Okay, well, great. Well, listen, everybody, that's my time. I'll see you next week, 2 to 3 on Tuesday.
You've been listening to In the Know with David O on 860 AM WWDB. Tune in again next Tuesday at 2 p.m. for more informative, substantive, intelligent talk radio with Philadelphia Councilman David O.